So just continuing on from the previous video, we have all our groups ready, all the pivots are in the right place, the IK handles are created and are in the hierarchy where they should be, and we've also got these attributes which we now need to start going through and wiring up. So to start off with, let's just get rid of some of the really simple attributes that are just direct connections. So I'm just going to open up General Editor's Connection Editor. I'm going to reload this into the left side because this has all our main attributes on. And then we need the groups that these attributes are going to drive. So we want the heel, the end, and the toe. I'm going to reload them into the right hand side. So there we go. So we're just going to connect these attributes to the rotations. So heel twist is just going to go to rotate Y. Toe twist is just going to drive the the foot end, rotate Y. And the toe tap is going to drive the toe pivots, rotate X. Now they're just pretty straightforward connections. So see there we have the heel twist, the toe twist which rotates around the tip of the toe, and the toe tap which gives you that nice sort of flap of the toes. That's dead easy, straightforward, but it just adds in an extra level of control to give to the animators. Now the next one we're going to look at is the foot bank, and this is going to control the inner and outer pivots. So as you can see, it will do this and it will do this. Now we could have just added in two attributes called bank left or bank inner and bank outer, and then just directly connected those to the rotation attributes on these groups. But that's not very intuitive for the animator, and you could end up with problems where the inner is rotated up, but then the outer one is rotated as well. And you start getting things where the rig is a bit broken. But what we're going to do instead is we're just going to have both sides tied to the bank control. And when it goes into a negative value, the foot will bank one way. A positive value, the foot will bank another way. So let's just go in and start connecting that up. So for this, we're going to go into the node editor and we are going to use a condition node. And condition nodes are great for taking a value and checking. Well, it's basically equal to like an if statement. If a value is this, then do this. If a value is something else, then do something else. And it just uses sort of like if I open the attribute editor, you have a first term and a second term, and it's basically going to compare the two. So if the first term, so you've also got an operation here. So in this case, we want it to be greater than. So basically, if the first term is greater than the second term, then it's going to do this attribute here because it's true. But if it's not, then it will be false. So we could connect that to one of the groups. And then we could do the opposite with these two. So if it's less than, so it's false, then it uses this attribute rather than this one. It sounds more complicated than it is, but let's just dive in and we can just start connecting things up, and you'll sort of get an idea as we're working, sort of what's happening. So I'm going to bring in the foot control because we need that to drive everything, and we need that bank attribute. Let's just rename this condition because we're going to have lots of different nodes, so it's important more than ever to sort of rename things as we are going. And we're going to create another node, a multiply divide, just to complicate things. And what we're going to do with the multiply divide node is we are going to take the output from the foot bank, and we're going to use this multiply divide node so we can adjust the bank amount, which will affect how far or how fast the foot will bank. If you didn't want to have that in, or that bank amount attribute even bothering it, then you don't need this multi-node. You can just connect these attributes directly to the groups. So let's just load in the groups as well. Open them, and we want the rotations as well. Just move them up and down like that, just so we can get to them. So there are main groups and nodes. So let's start connecting things up. So the bank attribute is going to be the main thing driving it. So we want that to be connected to the first term. We also want it to be connected to colour if false G and colour if true R, like so. Next, we need to connect its out colour R to the input 1x of the multiply divide node. Now, like I say, you could just skip this node and directly connect it to one of the rotation values, but we want that extra level of control over the foot. So out colour R goes to input 1x, and then out colour G is going to go into input 1y. So basically, if the bank goes over 0, it will output out colour R, whereas if it goes under 0, it will output out colour G. So that's those set up. So what we need to do now is just connect in the bank amount, because the bank amount is going to be whatever these values are going to be multiplied by. So we're just going to connect that bank amount to the input 2x and input 2y, because this input 1x will then be multiplied by input 2y. So if bank amount is 0, then the foot won't bank, whereas if it's 1, then it will be multiplied by 1. You know, you sort of get the idea with that. Now, let's connect the output x on the left foot bank multi to rotate z on the inner, like so, and it jumps around. So that's connected to the rotate z on the inner, and so we want something to control the outer group. So the output y is going to go to the rotate z on the outer. So, you know, it sounds a bit more complicated than it is, because we've got these various nodes in. Let me just move this around. So if we select that control, let's just move that down for now. Go to the attribute editor. So like I said, if we adjust bank now, it doesn't do anything because our bank amount is set to 0. So if we set that to 1, as you can see, now it starts working because it's multiplying the bank amount, multiplying the amount of bank we're doing by 1. So if I set that to 10, then it's going to move a lot more over a shorter distance. But you probably only want that set to 1 anyway. So there, you can see we've got a nice rock to the bank, and we're only using one attribute. So to try and sort of explain this, let's go back into the attribute editor. So basically, that's why before, when I was adjusting the bank, but we had it set to 10, you see it jumps a bit there. And that's because on the condition node, what we're basically saying is if the bank amount is greater than 0, so it's a positive amount, then use the actual rotation. If not, use 0. Well, what it's doing is it's using 1 where it should be using 0. So if I set that to 0, that should fix it. So basically, if it's greater than 0, use this value. If it's less than 0, then just don't do anything to that group. Whereas over here, we're doing the opposite because we want to affect the other group. So in this instance, if it is greater than 0, do nothing. If it's less than 0, use the rotation. But then we're using the multiply divide node to then adjust how much of that rotation we're using. So if I go back here, now we've changed that other value to 0. Because it was set to 1, it was rotating that other group by a value of 1. So now you see we've got a nice bank and it doesn't jump anymore. But what is happening is we're having to use smaller values to get a greater bank. Now this will be useful if you've got a character with huge feet or tiny feet, then you can adjust the bank amount. Probably bank amount is maybe not the best term for it. Maybe bank multiplier. So let's just leave that at 1. So we have our bank. We have our heel twist and toe twist and toe tap. What we need to do now is work on the foot roll. And the foot roll is a bit more complicated. But let's just dive in and start to build that as well. Now because we want the foot to roll, so basically we want it to go from the heel down to flat, then we want it to be sort of like this but up on its toe, you know, like your foot would naturally roll, and then it wants to finish up on the tip toe like that. So that's what, 1, 2, 3, that's 4 different movements that we need to try and tie in to this one attribute. So as you can imagine, we're going to need lots of different nodes. We're going to use condition nodes again to check what value the roll attribute is on, and that will trigger different rotations. So from here on, it's going to be a bit intense with the connect this to this, this to this, this to this, without me, you know, getting too in depth about explaining what is affecting what. But hopefully you should get an idea of the process it takes to create this network. And I've tried to sort of simplify it as much as possible. So do please bear with me. So let's just go in to the node editor and get started. Node editor. So let's just go in and create a lot of the initial nodes that we need just to get them in and done. So I'm going to create a condition node. I'm going to call that one left foot roll heel condition. And then we need another one. So let's just 1, 2, 3, duplicate that 3 times. So I'm going to turn on grid snapping just to, so everything looks a bit neater. You can zoom in a bit then as well. So we've got the left foot roll heel condition. We want this one to be left foot roll ball condition. We need left foot roll end and a left foot clamp. Like so. So they're the main condition nodes. So the heel will use this one to control the foot back on its heel, sort of when the foot rotates back. The foot roll ball will be using to help with when the foot raises, when the back of the foot raises from the being flat on the floor and the ball of the foot and the toe is still on the floor. roll end will be used to dictate sort of the end of the roll, sort of as the toe goes up. And the roll clamp is in there, and that sort of helps to sort of restrict some of the foot's movements. So we've got those. Now we need to create a couple of multiply divide nodes. Multiply divide. I'm just going to duplicate that. So we've got 2. Paste that in properly. So left foot roll multi. And left foot roll ball multi. So the multiply divide nodes and these new plus minus average nodes. So these, we're going to use these to help with the other attributes, you know, the settings attributes. So these here. Just like we did with the foot bank, we used a multiply divide node so that we could adjust sort of how the foot bank worked, sort of the multiplier of the main value. These will be used to affect these, which will affect how far the foot rolls or bends or things like that. So we need 2 plus minus average nodes. So we've got left foot roll PMA, and left foot roll ball PMA. So there we have our main sort of nodes created, and I'm just going to go down here and make sure show DAG objects only is switched off, because it'll be easier for us to just drag the nodes that we need in. So we've got those created. Let's bring in the foot and start to connect the roll attribute. Right, so we'll move this over here. If it stops sort of adjusting the view for me. So we want the roll attribute, and we want to connect that to the foot roll ball condition. So let's move that over there. Let's move these out of the way for now, because we don't need them at this moment. So we want the roll attribute connected to color if false R, first term on that node, the left foot roll ball condition, and we also need to do the same to the left foot roll heel condition, which is over here. So let's bring that over. So connect the roll to first term and color if false R. And then we also want to connect it to the input 1D0 on the left foot roll PMA. Left foot roll. Here we go. So I'm going to open that up. So we want the roll to go into input 1D0, which is there. So you see how we've connected it to input 1D0, and then input 1D1 has just turned up. So that allows us then to connect more than one input if we need it. So that's the first stage. You know, we're just taking things nice and slow. So we've just connected the roll attribute just to these 3 nodes here. So I'm going to clear the node editor. You know, like I say, I'm just taking it a step at a time and trying to do it sort of in a clear sort of way. So now we need to bring in a few of the nodes back. So we need, where is it? We need a plus minus average node. Where can, if I can see it. There we go. Right. So we need both of those bringing back in. We need the left foot roll ball multi to come in as well. Left foot roll ball multi to come in as well. And the left foot roll ball condition. Left foot roll ball condition. So we want to connect the foot roll ball. Just move them around. Open them up. So the output 1D on the left foot roll PMA goes to the input 1X on the roll ball multi. Input 1X on the left foot roll ball multi. So there we go to there. And then we need to take the output X from the roll ball multi and connect that to the input 1D0 on the left foot roll ball PMA, like so. And then let's bring this one over here. And then if you notice, like we said before, a new attribute appeared down here. We go into the attribute editor. If we open up 1D, the problem we have is there's only one attribute that you can see in the attribute editor, yet we've got one down here. So what we need to do is break that connection and connect that to the 1D. And then we go here and now we've got the 0 and the 1, which is what we need. We need the two attributes in there. So we've got the 1D, which is running off this value, but we've also got 0, and that's just going to, you know, at the moment the operation's set to sum, so that's just going to add those two together. So we've done that. And then finally we need to connect left foot roll ball PMA output 1D to the condition node, color if true R. So that's those connected up. You know, like I say, I'm just taking it a step at a time. So it's just those 4 nodes for now. So I'm going to clear it again. And this time we're going to bring in the left foot roll ball condition. You know, if some of these were already in there, it's just, I'm just clearing it and bringing in just the nodes we need just to make it a bit clearer as we work through. Not just for you, but for me as well, because it can get a bit complicated. We want the left foot roll heel condition. Left foot roll multi as well. If I can find it. Left foot roll multi as well. And now we can also bring in the heel pivot. So we go back up to our groups and we want the heel pivot, because we're now going to start connecting things to the actual groups. Yeah, this blue line is just a bit of a bug in Maya. It should go away soon. So let's start with our heel condition node. Open this up. And we're going to connect the out color R to the left foot roll multi. So we want out color R to the input 1X. And the out color G wants to go to the input 1Y. So you can see here this is quite similar to how we set up the bank. We had the two attributes being output going into this multiplier, which is going to be, you know, what we can adjust. And then this is going to go out into something else. So now we want to take the left foot roll ball condition, out color R. So it looks like that goes into the heel condition. So just to keep things tidy. So we want the left foot roll ball condition, out color R goes into the heel condition, color if true G. Color if true G. So that's going to come in there, and then the out color G there. And then finally we want to connect the left foot roll multi and now we can connect this to the rotation value. Output X is going to go into the heel pivot rotate X. So that's those 4 done. So let's give that a try and see if anything happens just yet. So as you can see, roll the foot back, but because we've restricted that to -10, it's stopping there. But what we should be able to do, and we won't be able to adjust these just yet because we have to wait and change some values later. We should be able to adjust these to dictate that the foot rolls back further than it actually does. So the foot rolls back, but now we need to start thinking about when it lands back on its feet, when it's flat on the floor again, or the roll value is 0, and you're going to a positive value, then it needs to bring the heel up. So let's just set that to 0. And let's just continue on. So I'm just going to close the node editor and open it up again just to get rid of that weird blue line. So we want left foot roll multi, which is left foot roll multi in again. And we want the foot clamp condition. Left foot roll ball multi. And the actual IK control. I can just bring that in like so. So let's just adjust these so we can see all the attributes. Just move that up there. Right, let's just select them all, open them all up. Left foot roll ball multi we'll put down here, and then the condition can be up here. So let's just open these up. Oops. So let's connect the multi, the left foot roll multi output Y, left foot roll multi output Y to the first term on the clamp condition, and the color if true R on the clamp condition. Now we're going to take the actual roll back attribute and we're going to connect this to left foot roll multi input to X, and we're going to also connect the toe flex to the left foot ball roll ball multi input 1Y. And then finally we're going to connect the left foot roll ball multi output Y, so open that up, to left foot roll multi input 2Y, like so. So that's those few connections done. Let's move on to the next one, and we're going to actually sort of connect to the ball rotating group next as well. So let's bring in the left foot ball pivot, like so. Open that up. So we want the out color R from the clamp condition node to go to the rotate X. So that's now connected to that group. And at the moment, like I said before, the roll isn't going to do much because we don't have values set. So what we can do now we've got those sort of networks set up, we can go in and change a few of the attributes. So let's look at the roll end condition. Now we want to change that so that it's set to greater than. We want to do the same with the roll heel condition. Set that to greater than. Also the roll clamp condition. Set that to greater than. You see the foot moved a little bit there because now we're starting to, you know, get things connected and working how they should be. Left foot roll ball condition. Again, we'll set that to greater than. We also want to change the operation on the plus minus average nodes, which are there, and we want to change those to subtract. So we'll change that one to subtract and that one to subtract. There are also some other values we need to change while we're in here. So let's go to the left. We'll go back to our condition nodes, roll ball condition, and we want to set the second term to 10. So we're basically saying once the first term is over the second term, it's going to do this value. Otherwise, it's going to do this value. And left foot roll heel condition. Where is it? There. We want to change the color if false G, because this is RGB. Want to change that to 0. Again, like we did with the bank, we want it to use this value, and if not, it wants to be 0, not 1. Otherwise, you're going to end up with that little step up. So go back to our plus minus average nodes and left foot roll PMA input 1D 1. So, right, so we need that set to 10 because that's not being subtracted by any values yet. So what we can do is we can go to our node editor. We'll bring that in. And then we'll just bring anything in. And I'm just going to connect that to that one there. Doesn't matter we've got this because we're breaking that connection anyway. We only added that connection so that we could get this attribute available in the attribute editor. So I'm going to set that to 10. So this value is always going to be subtracted by 10. Get rid of that as well. And then the left foot roll ball PMA. So the opposite now. So we've already got the 0 because we did that connection earlier. So we're going to set that to 10 as well. Left foot roll ball multi. So with this, we're going to change input 2x to 2 and input 2y to 1. Which it already is, so that's fine. So we've got input 2x, 2y, 2z. And then we want left foot roll multi. Input 2z, xyz should be changed to, let's have a look, 15. Because we're going to connect something into this later on. So we may as well change this value now while we're going through and updating values. Left foot clamp condition. Left foot clamp condition. Color if false R is going to be 0 again. Because again, if it's not greater than that value, then it needs to be 0 because we don't want anything to happen. So that's those main attributes done. And again, not much is happening yet, and that's because we need to now, the amount of roll is being dictated by these attributes, so we now need to put settings into here. So let's change roll back to 10. So now, as you can see, it's rolling backwards, and then as it gets to 0, it's not doing anything, and it's moving back a lot further. So if I set that to minus 10, which is the maximum that it can go, we can now use this roll back attribute to say, oh, well, I want the foot to, the maximum the foot can go is there, or the maximum it can go is there. So we could set that to 5, and then that's not going to go any further. And then as you come down, the foot is flat. That is fine. So next we're going to change toe flex let's just change that to 10 as well. So as the foot goes back, then it comes forward to 0, and then it's going to positive values. And now we're using the toe flex attribute. And as you can see, the toe goes up like so. Now it comes back down because we haven't done the third part of the movement yet. Well, the fourth. So that's 1, 2, 3, and then the fourth will be it going up onto its tiptoe. But again, this toe flex attribute indicates how flexible the toe is. So if we set that to, well, 2.7, the foot goes back, down, up to that point, and then when it goes back down, that'll be the point where it goes up onto its tiptoe. So we're dictating how flexible the toe is. So if you had a bare foot, you know, a foot without a shoe on, not a bear's foot, you'd maybe have the toes bend here. But if you had sort of really heavy boots on with really thick leather, then the toes wouldn't be as flexible. So maybe you only have it bend this much. But as you can see, having these extra attributes in just makes it a lot easier for people to dictate the type of foot that they're going to need for that particular character. So I hope you're following along and it's not too boring for you. Let's just keep going, and we will start working on getting the last part, getting the foot up onto its tiptoe. So back into the node editor. Just going to clear that. So what we need is another 2 nodes. So we're going to create we need another condition node. So let's just create a condition node. And we'll call this left foot tiptoe condition. And we need another plus minus average node. And we'll call that left foot tiptoe PMA. So on the condition node, we're going to set the operation to greater than again. And we're going to set second term to 10. And we're going to change color if false R to 0. So you see we're now we're preempting the values that we need and the operation that we need. So we want the left foot roll multi to come in with us as well. Left foot roll multi. Left foot roll multi. And we need the IK node again, just so that we've got those attributes that are driving everything. So we'll get rid of those. Open those up. So we want to connect the roll attribute to the first term. So the roll needs to go to the first term on the tiptoe condition, like so. And it wants to go into the input 1, 0 on the tiptoe plus minus average. Open that up. So roll input 1, 0. So now we need to update the plus minus average node by changing its operation to subtract. And also set input 1D to 10, but we haven't got 1D1 up there again. So I'm just going to connect the roll attribute in there, then delete that connection, and then we can set that to 10. Finish by connecting the left foot tiptoe plus minus average output 1D to the tiptoe condition color if true R, like that. And then the tiptoe condition out color R to the left foot roll multi input Z. There we go. So if you remember before, we set this to 15 just to preempt that we were going to be using this node as this connection anyway. So coming to the end now, so just bear with me. So we need the left foot roll end condition. Bring that in. And the left foot end pivot group. Left foot end pivot group. Like so. Just open these up again. Just so we can get access to everything. So now we want to connect the roll end to the second term on the roll end condition, like so, and the colour if true R. So roll end, colour if true R. Then we want to connect the output Z attribute on the left foot roll multi to the first term on the roll end condition. So the first term this time, and we also want to connect it to colour if false R, like so, and then the out colour R goes over to our group. So out colour R goes to the rotate X. So that should, in theory, work. Fingers crossed. Okay, so sorry about that. Had a little bit of a crash, but luckily I'd managed to sort of save. But yeah, so we'd just picking up where we left off. We'd done all the connections and we were just about to test the foot. So you roll back. Let's just set that to 0. So basically, negative numbers will go back onto the heel. And then forwards, the foot will bend. But as you can see, what we're seeing now is it's just flattening out. And that's because we haven't indicated a roll end yet. And this is sort of, if we set that to 20, which is the maximum it will go forward. So roll end dictates how far forward the foot will go when it's on its tip. So let's just set that to 70. So we can go back on our heel, down to the foot, up onto the ball of the foot, and then it goes up. But obviously we've got toe flex set at quite a small value, so the toe isn't that flexible. So let's increase that as well. Let's just set that to 5 maybe. So again, back on its heel, the flow, back on its heel, flat to the floor, up onto the ball of the foot, and then it'll straighten up as it goes onto its tiptoe. So there you've got a foot rolling just using the one attribute. You know, and obviously we've got the other controls like the foot bank, etc. And you can use these 3 attributes here to sort of dictate the 3 different stages of where the foot poses are going to be. Now there's one more attribute that we're going to wire up, and that is the toe straight angle. And this won't take long because we're basically just connecting this to all the attributes that while we were working our way through that we just put in values for rather than connecting them up. So let's just go to the node editor again. Let's just clear that. Oops. So we just need to bring those nodes in. So we will bring in the main IK node, and then let's go to our outliner, and what we need are the left foot tiptoe condition. Left foot tiptoe condition, we'll drag that in quickly. Left foot tiptoe PMA. Let's go back down. Actually, I think there's another condition. We need the roll ball condition as well. PMA, let's go down to the PMAs. Left foot tiptoe PMA. Want that one in. Left foot roll PMA. We want that one in. And left foot roll ball PMA. We want that one in. So if we just look up here, this input 1D1 is set to 10. But we can override that with the toe straight angle. So input 1D0, we'll connect that to that. Now that's gone to 0 because that's what toe straight angle is set at. But we'll leave it like that for now just so we can see it changing. Do the same with this plus minus average. So this one is input 1D1. Input 1D1. And then we'll go to this one. So where the 10 is, input 1D1 again. Toe straight angle, like so. And then here, the second term is set to 10, so we'll override that with this angle here. And the same on this one. Second term is set to 10, so we will override that there. So that's all those connected. So let's set this back to 10, which is what all those other values were set. So what the toe straight angle does is it dictates the point where the ball of the foot will raise from the floor as the foot begins to straighten. Now a lot of the times this won't be used or needed, so it'll just be left at 10. But rather than just leaving those values hidden inside the nodes, it's good to have an attribute in there just in case somebody needs to tweak that value at some point in the future. So it's all right, I was going to do it then, but then autosave kicked in. So we're on our heel, flat to the floor, and then say we don't want the toe to be any less, we want the foot to raise onto its tiptoe a bit earlier than there. We'll change the toe straight angle to maybe 8, and you can see that it's raising off the floor before that. Down, up, like so. So like I say, it's just another bit of flexibility you can add to this foot rig, and just gives the animators and the people that are working with this just more attributes to use. So that's it. That's pretty much the foot set up. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go through and I'm just going to repeat the whole process, but do it on the right foot as well. So I'm going to pause the video while I do that, and I will be back in a moment. So here we have, I've done both feet. They're both rigged, both set up. We have the, I've gone through and tweaked these attributes, the toe flex, rollback, etc., to fit with this particular character. But obviously if you're building this rig for a different type of character, you'll have these all set differently to suit that particular character. But let's just go through. We've got our foot roll, so you go backwards and it goes back on his heel and then down, up and through, like so. So there you've got a nice foot roll just working on one attribute. We've got the foot bank, got the heel twists, the toe twist and the toe tap. So there it is. We've got the foot, well, both feet now completely set up. The only thing I would say now, because of the way we created the skeletons and all the icons, both feet, all the orientations are exactly the same. So when you're creating the foot roll for the right foot, you can follow exactly the same procedure. The only things I would change is if I go to the node editor, let's just clear that. Open the outliner. So what we want is the right foot bank multi-node. So when you come to connect these to the actual right foot bank multi-node, and then let's just go to the inner, get the inner and outer groups. So at the point when you come to connect the groups, so let's pull them in. Okay. That's better. You just basically have to reverse the way these are connected. So when we worked on the left foot, the output X went into the rotate Z on the inner foot, and the output Y went into the outer foot. So we're just flipping those around. You know, if I put them the other way around, just to demo. So this this wants to go down here. Let's just get rid of those. So we want the X wants to go on the inner foot, like so. This is because I've gone through and locked the groups. So I've got a handy script up here which will just unlock everything. So X goes into the inner group, rotate X. Y goes into the outer group. Let's try that inner group again. That's it. Let's close that down. Okay, it's rotate Z. So let's move that to Z and move that to Z. That's better. So you see, you have to reverse them because the rotations work the other way. So then you end up with the foot bank going down. So if we just put those back, let's just delete those. So X goes into the rotate Z and Y goes into the rotate Z. So yeah, you just do the opposite for the right foot and then that works better. Although I've broken it now, that's it. Y, that didn't connect, that's all. There we go. So yeah, that's all I'd say is when you're doing the right foot, just make sure you swap those attributes around and that will fix that issue. But there we go. We now have a fully rigged character. You know, IK, FK, you know, stretchy limbs. We've got cartoon controls in there, you know, so you can pull him around and do funny sort of creative poses. You know, it's been 3 long tutorials, and particularly this one with all the node connections and everything, it's been quite long and boring. But what I would suggest is maybe if you know somebody who's good at scripting, just get them to script it, because it's dead, you know, it makes it easier to, for like long processes like that where it's quite tedious and you're just connecting different nodes to different nodes, just get somebody to script it for you. It'd be dead easy to for them, particularly if you sort of list it like we have done and go through it in stages. That's what I would recommend anyway. But yeah, so there we go. And in this part, we just went through and added in these nice extra controls for the feet, but also added in the extra flexibility of having these attributes so you can configure the way the foot animates to more suit the style of your character. So that's it for this 3-part series. I hope you've enjoyed following along over the months, and please get in touch if you have any questions. I'd like to see, you know, how you use these tutorials in your own rigs. But that's me done for now, and yep, I will see you on the next tutorial. So, I hope you've enjoyed this video. If you have, please let me know in the comments below. Also, let me know if you have any questions and tell me what future videos you would like to see. And why not say thanks and also earn exclusive rewards with a small donation via my Ko-fi page. As always, remember to like this tutorial and subscribe to my channel. And remember to hit that bell icon so you're kept up to date with notifications on future videos and posts. This is Ant CGI signing off, and I will see you on the next one.